My name is Alexy Khrabrov. As you can see, I wear many hats. I'm a director of open source science at IBM Research, which is an initiative to connect open source developers and scientists. And it's actually under non-focus, right? So it belongs to a nonprofit. And I'm also a founding chair of Generative AI Commons at Linux Foundation, which is part of the LF.AI and Data Foundation. And this is basically LF Generative AI community. And recently we set up this AI Alliance, and I'm head of community for that from IBM. And I'm going to talk briefly about this. This is today's meetup is Bay.Area.AI meetup. We just reached 5,000 members. So this is the oldest AI meetup continuously running from 2015, right? And we're deeply technical. We've always been doing this. We started as an LP meetup on, before AI was actually fashionable again, right? And we run continuously live, and this is our home. So welcome to IBM. And also we have a conference called Scale by the Bay, which runs yearly, which is a conference of many meetups, including Bay.Area.AI, and it will be held again in November in Oakland. So, this will be a brief overview of the AI Alliance. This is the very first event. First of all, IBM and Berkeley are members of the AI Alliance. Who knows that their company is a member? Who else is a member of the AI Alliance? Who is from Anyscale? Anyscale is a member of the Alliance. Do you guys know this? Who else? Right? Yes. Intel, Dell. Anybody from Dell? We have folks from Dell. Right? So there are 75 members, and this is the geography and the diversity of this. But what I wanted to say first is we're in a very strange moment in history where for about 40 years we've been progressing with open source software, and I don't know if folks remember, but IBM was pivotal in ensuring that open source software succeeds. Who knows what was the key contribution of IBM which made open source a reality? Linux. Exactly, right? So if not for Linux, we would not have commodity PC-based data center. We would not have Google. We would not have big data as epitomized by big table paper. We would not have all the data which were amassed through the big data, so we would not have the machine learning as we know it, and we would not have AI. So, and another contribution was Java. Without Java, we probably would not have, there was multiple contributions. IBM made sure it succeeds, right? So, and then e-commerce and the whole thing. So, I propose that AI is the third time IBM chooses to contribute massively to this open source revolution, but as opposed to the previous times, right? So, Linux users were sued by Microsoft for petty reasons, and IBM actually successfully fended them off. And Linux Foundation was set up, right, to promote this at Linux. However, we never had this philosophical opposition to open source, which started to happen with AI. We never had the intellectual framework, which argues that open source is bad, right, and that safety reasons now are used as an excuse, and legal capture is used to adopt legislation in the US and in Europe and other places, right? So we have kind of a new array of intellectual forces arguing that open source is bad. And so our alliance, in a way, is an answer to this. We actually believe that open source is good. And an example is Linux Foundation gives this example that at some point governments try to outlaw cryptography, they try to regulate cryptography. And it failed, right? The attempt to regulate cryptography failed and was basically rolled back. And we believe the same thing will happen with attempts to arrest AI through these efforts. But we need to make this a reality. We need to get together, right? Why do we need this? And you can see the initial response to this alliance was extremely enthusiastic. We already have 75 members, which basically span the spectrum from enterprises to startups, and I think we have the coolest startups in AI, right? We have Anyscale, LangChain, Llama Index, user kind of facing application frameworks. We have enterprises. We have Meta with Llama, which is, I think, one of the key contributions. We have Hugging Face as a key member of the alliance. We have hardware manufacturers. We have Intel, Dell, and AMD, right? And the purpose, we need open hardware. We need alternative GPUs, right? We need to democratize all aspects of AI. So the members of this alliance spans everything from chips to apps. And also they're enterprise, they're startups, they're nonprofits, they're foundations like non-focus and Linux Foundation itself. They're all members. Plus, we have top leading research universities, Berkeley, Penn, University of Tokyo, Northeastern. Basically, if we don't have universities, just we didn't get to them yet. We have super enthusiastic response from universities, and usually at the very top level, Dean of Research, Vice Chancellor, and all of them are very eager to go because sciences are facing this question. AI disrupts science. And scientists are the least kind of experienced people. They do not run AI in production, right? They do not have a lot of GPUs. So I think there is a huge opportunity here, to help deserving researchers to advance their sciences with open source. And so this growth will continue. We have been, again, enthusiastically covered by the media. This was our launch in December. Our next batch is coming up on February 8, and it will include big names, so this is going to be exciting. And there are 3 ways we want to advance open source AI. So first of all, this is a builders alliance, right? Folks here are building stuff. First and foremost, we want to build things. We want to figure out which projects are the most promising for adoption by the community, which will move the needle the most, which will be accepted by businesses and reassure users. And we want to get behind this, right? And that involves basically understanding what everybody has to contribute and figuring it out. So Dean here is going to take a little bit, from IBM side. So here's the guy who will figure it out. So help him do this. And Carl, right? So have 2 tech leads. So if you have technical ideas what we should do, please ask Dean and Carl. I'll tell them what to do. Now, if you are not building, right, you can still enable others. So if you have a bunch of GPUs, like IBM has, contribute them, right? If you have resources. If you don't have money or GPUs, but you have a lot of enthusiasm and knowledge, then go teach people and go advocate, right? And so, if you have a very standard setup where enterprises, do heavy lifting, send people, boots on the ground, GPUs, hardware, and money, startups do advocacy, promote open source, and put things on the table which actually get adopted broadly. And also, we will do advocacy, right? We need to counter the arguments of closed kind of AI, right? We need to reason for open source AI, but in order to do that, we need to come up with technical proof that open source AI is safe. So we need to do benchmarking and evaluation and safety research. So yes.
So all of the private companies, by law, are required to maximize their profits. Now, when you're selecting open source profit, how are you focused on revenue? Because you just said you want to see what product can really help put them on it. There's a conflict between you making through profit and the community have. Where it can?
It's a good question, but I think the same dynamics underlines any commercial alliance. If you look at Linux Foundation, it's competition. It's competition and cooperation, right? Everybody wants to create a marketplace. Rising tide lifts all the boats, right? So I think it's a fairly traditional discussion why open source is good for you, right? And we can have it separately. But generally, the same arguments apply, right? But I think in this case, we have a very key difference that businesses are afraid to adopt this. This is not a package you download from the internet, which can basically be hacked because of buffer overflow. This is a thing that can slurp all your customer data and send it to Putin, right? Like this is not a risk you take lightly. Or Xi Jinping, like pick your destination, right? So this is why you don't see kids from Silicon Valley coming to a Midwestern bank and being hooked up to SAP and Oracle for their financial data and CRMs, right? Nobody's going to give it to them until they know that this is not going to do something bad. And we need a completely different level of reassurance, testing, and benchmarking to make sure, because the model embodies pieces of the data, right? We don't know yet how to properly handle it. So we need to actually create a lot of open source tools, harnesses, and benchmarks to make sure that we can trust this, right? So I would say it's actually imperative that we'll get together and create this market, because this market does not yet exist. Nobody gave a talk at any of the meetups how they successfully replaced a Zendesk installation with ChatGPT, right? Like if you go to OpenAI, it uses like some kind of JavaScript chatbot which doesn't know what they're talking about. Like they're not using their own tool for their customer service because nobody's doing it properly yet. So we're short on time. So basically we have 6 work streams, right? And they're basically science, validation benchmarking, tooling, right? So we need tools for developers themselves, what I was talking about for evaluation. We need this hardware software co-development. So this is, I think, a big difference with this alliance compared to a lot of software foundations. We want to have a robust hardware component. We want to obviously build the ecosystem of the models. So the models of the heart of this, we have Meta as a member, and I think Llama is one of the leading models. We want more. We want the best open source models. We want to make sure they're the best. And we will advocate, strongly for open source AI before governments and OECD and whoever, and we have resources and among the alliance members who have people who know how to do this properly. So with that, basically that's all I have to say. There is a timeline, right? We are being formed right now. All this has been stood up, and I just wanted Dean to say a few words on the technical side.
So you can find out more information at the alliance.ai. There's 6 areas. I'll just mention quickly. If you're interested in AI safety, if you're interested in open models and what's the next generation for building models, what should we do beyond RAG? RAG is obviously a great solution, but it's also a hack if you think about it, because we're working around the limits of models. What should be the successor to RAG? Obviously, there's spreading the love, educating people about AI. The hardware portability is a really interesting one. Carl and I have been talking about this a lot. Carl's going to lead that effort. I talked to a few people here that are building AI accelerators. So we want to make sure that we're not just locked into one hardware provider. But anyway, any of those that interest you, please reach out to us or talk to us tonight. We'd love to tell you about the Alliance and how we can benefit each other.